So it's great to see you all. How you doing on your Lenten journey? The last time we were together, we started looking at the beginning of Lent, and we talked about dedicating that spiritual season to increasing our awareness of our divine self. And so we're going to continue on with that today. I gave you a couple of challenges last time. I didn't hear from anybody, but I hope that you experimented a little bit with the love letter, and that was one of the challenges that I gave out to you. The hidden purpose of that challenge was to begin to explore your divinity from a new place, from wherever you are right now. And that allows us then to, as we give attention to that divinity, it allows us to expand that. And to me, that's what we're doing here, is learning to express more and more of that divine self that's at the core of our being. So I've given that challenge in the past, and one woman who shared her letter with me after a few years ago, I gave that challenge. She shared some details of her childhood, which, like most of us, it wasn't wholly ideal. And then she went on to say this to herself: "Your childhood, so full of chaos and insecurity, was not your fault. You deserved only love and protection. But here is the truth. You were a sweet little girl, so beautiful, so innocent, so worthy of love. You were and are intrinsically valuable, priceless. You are not an accident or a mistake or a sin. You came at exactly the right time, to the exact right life. And you came with a mission and a mandate to help others to believe they belong. Because for so long, you didn't believe that yourself. And to love, encourage, and comfort others, because you learned to seek those things for yourself, and to grow over time into the strong, happy woman you are today. So stand tall, girl, by God's own grace, by your own efforts, with love and support from so many, especially your angel mother. You are a true work of art, a miracle that unfolds more and more each day. I love you." Well, the addendum to that is that since that time, she has gone on to write a book about her life and to publish it, and now she speaks and helps, and it's so interesting how many times you think you're the only one or one of the few that experienced this, and now people are coming to her and saying, boy, I really identified with your story. She's a dear friend of mine. So she did exactly what I'd hoped for in giving that challenge. She affirmed the highest self, and she moved past her challenges, and she doesn't let them define her now. That is a beautiful thing. The model she gives us with her letter is one that we can all use to heal ourselves and to inspire ourselves to move beyond the things that we feel, the stories, that we can tell ourselves. So, who do you think you are? Some of us, like myself, might have heard that question in a very challenging way when a certain adult didn't think that our actions were in line with the way we should behave. Believe me. It can be easy, and it can even be comfortable, to use those past experiences, to use that kind of harsh, tone from a parent or authority figure, someone we respected and valued and nurtured us in our lives, and then to take that on as a perceived shortcoming or an error, and to just bow out of the challenge of growing into the divine being that we are and seeing that in ourselves. Jesus came to us to give us the ultimate example of how to live our divinity and how to see it in others. And that's the transforming power of his love. In the 4th chapter of John, we read the story of Jesus going to the well and conversing with the Samaritan woman. Now, in his time, Samaritans were considered unclean. And if you spoke to a Samaritan, you were unclean. And he knew that. But he not only spoke to her, but he said, "Could you give me a drink?" Even another sign that he accepted, he saw the divinity in her. He didn't go with the cultural belief that she was unclean and any association with her was unclean. That's a clear message to us. It's a clear message to us that we're to follow. He saw only the perfection and he saw the oneness of all in that perfection. That's a challenge today, isn't it? We can bring that right into our modern lives. And we just work with it the best we can. Of course, that's only a small piece of that story, but for me, that speaks to the love of Christ, the message of his love and his example to us. That's how he healed the sick. He would look and see only the perfection, only the divine, beyond the outer circumstances. And then that divine manifested. And we know that even today, there's examples of this. And so we strive to do such a thing. Transformation is possible. In Michael Beckwith's 40-day Mind Fast Soul Feast, which I've shared with you that I've read it every day for I don't know how many years now. It's the one that's falling apart. The binding no longer is intact, and there's a nice rubber band holding it together. But he tells a story in there on day 4 entitled Freedom's Testimony. This one reminded me of that first song we sang. There's a woman who was confined, a 5-time felon, confined to death row. And while she was in prison, she began to think about God. And her relationship with Spirit deepened. And she started to see that at the core of her, and the most important part of her, was her divinity. She started singing in the choir. God makes me sing. She started singing in the choir and professing the truth of Spirit. And she's free now. And she travels around and speaks about her experience and her transformation. And I'm sure she inspires others to do the same thing. Beckwith says this: "The truth is that she became free the moment she turned to the Spirit within her own being as her refuge and her strength. As she merged her mind with the one mind, she sloughed off a sense of self separate from the essence of her life. Her union with God became so complete that she experienced a new incarnation right within this very lifetime. Divine law responded, and everything around her conformed to the new birth in her true identity." And isn't that what this Lenten season is about? Just moving into a higher state, a resurrection, if you will, of Christ consciousness, so that we are reborn right here and now. So who do we think we are? All these stories bring to me the message: we're so much more than we sometimes envision for ourselves. And also, so is everyone else. We can be an agent of transformation in our own life and in the lives of others when we remember this. When we feel defeated by life, it's not so much a change of circumstance that's needed, but a change of consciousness. I remember this story has stuck with me. I don't even know where I read it, but years ago I read this story about a chiropractor who had his office somewhere in New York City. And his location was such that many times people walked in instead of having an appointment. And so it was that one day a man walked in, and he was very unpleasant to be close to, very disheveled and dirty. And but this doctor had a practice of whoever he worked on, he found one thing to focus on that was beautiful. So this man comes in, and he's treated, and the doctor's really having a tough time finding something that is pleasing and beautiful that he can focus on. He noticed that the man's shoes were very neatly tied. And so he focused on that while he treated him. He said nothing about his process. The man left with a simple thank you. But sometime later, the man came back. And he said he wasn't sure why. But he said the day that he had walked into that office, he had stood on the bridge, ready to jump off and end his life. And he doesn't know why, but something moved him to walk into that doctor's office. And afterwards, he began to look at his life in a different way. And his life had taken many turns for the better. And he came back just to say thank you, still not really knowing what the process was. And we don't know. We don't know, but maybe that act of love on the part of the doctor is something that inspired the God self in this man to come alive again, and he reclaimed his life. Each of us is fully capable of doing this for ourselves and for others. We have to allow ourselves to expand our vision. We have to allow ourselves to see more of the Christ presence in ourselves and in the other one in front of us. More on the Christ presence than on the human presence. In order to do this, we need to practice forgiveness. We need to suspend our judgment. And we need to expand our vision. We must be willing to allow the Holy Spirit to descend upon us, if you will, and inspire that and awaken that Christ vision in us. We also have to become vulnerable. We have to be willing to change. As an example of this kind of love in action, I want to share with you now another letter that I received years ago. And this is a young, I say young now, he was probably in his early 40s, okay? Young to me. It makes me stop, because my children are in that age bracket. But he wrote this letter. He entitled it, "I Love You." I love you because in general you care for others. You try to see the best in people. I am challenged with this at times. I love you anyways. You are willing to lend a hand at a moment's notice, and most of the time you feel grateful for the opportunity. You are just starting to love yourself. I love you for that. I love you because you're willing to look in the mirror and say, I love you. Your hair is thinning. I love you anyways. I love you even more because it's on the back of your head, where you can't see it unless you use 2 mirrors. I really love you because you rarely use 2 mirrors. You're very skinny, and while for a long time it made you feel like you weren't a man, big, tough, and strong, I love you because you're starting to realize it's a gift. Hello, you can eat whatever you want. My taste buds love you for that. I love you because you just don't see as much wrong with yourself now. I love you because your bad days are not as bad as they were. I love you because you try to see the light and love in everyone. You're not always able to do that, and some really challenge you. I love you anyways. I love you because you started to face yourself. You're willing to scare the crap out of yourself. Like right now as you write this letter. Sometimes you feel like a small child, scared, unloved, alone, wanting to curl up in a little ball, hide from the world, feeling like you just want someone to hold you, love you, but all alone. I love you anyways. I love you because those days are fewer than they were. I love you because you're starting to let people love you. I love you because you try to be humble. It doesn't always work. I love you anyways. I love you because you try not to live in your ego. That doesn't always work either. I love you anyways. I love you because you're sitting in the sun, 60 plus degrees in February, writing this. 2 years ago, you would have been inside. I'm not sure why, but I love that you aren't. I love you because you're willing to look in the mirror and say, you are awesome, even though you don't always feel that way. I love you because you are willing to look in the mirror and say, you are sexy, even though you really don't always feel that way. I love you because you're trying to be you. Most of the time, you have no idea what that is. I love you anyways. While you may not really know who you are, you make mistakes. You feel like crap at times. You judge yourself harshly. You lose control of your thoughts. You don't always feel the ever-present love that is here for you. You struggle at times with doubting yourself. You are scared at times. You lack courage at times. Feel the weight of the world on your shoulders. Cry, well, when no one's looking. You don't see yourself as worthy of love and peace. I love you anyways. You are willing to try and accept yourself as you are, facing your fears, willing to feel your pain and try to let it go, facing your demons, falling, getting bumped and bruised, but getting back up, having the courage to continue on, learning who you are. Sometimes you say it with a grrr, but I love you for being you. I love you anyways.
Wow. I love him for sharing.
Yeah. He's a lovely man, and I loved the vulnerability of a 40-something year-old young man. And he's so honest.
Yeah. So human.
Yeah, so human, so honest. And sometimes I think we're told to love ourselves, and we think, well, after I lose weight, or after I'm successful at this, or, we have all these conditions. We want to resolve our issues, remove all those shortcomings, and then I will love myself, But this letter tells the truth. It tells the truth that we all walk with. We're all still works in progress. And the example of unconditional love that it gives, it was an inspiration to me. And I can hear that even years later, it's an inspiration to you also. In my mind, the greatest work that we do is the work of loving ourselves. There was just something on Facebook about, if you have coffee in a cup and you're bumped, what can spill out is coffee. If whatever you have inside yourself, when life bumps you, is what spills out. Getting the chills just to think about it.
Yeah.
That wasn't on the page. Whew.
Well, not the paper page.
Right.
Right.
So who do you think you are? As part of that answer, I would like to offer you a few lines from The Impersonal Life, another book that I've just had forever. And it says this: as I am in you, even as I am in any you seek. And as all the wisdom, all the power, and all the love they possess come only from me, why not now come to me and let me prepare you also, so I can express my all through you? You are a human personality, yet you are divine and therefore perfect. The first of these truths you believe, the latter you do not believe. Yet both are true. That is the mystery. You are just what you think you are. Oops, I didn't turn the page correctly, excuse me. One or the other, which are you, or both? You are one with me. I am in you, in your human personality, in your body, mind, and intellect. I am in every cell of your body, in every attribute of your mind, in every faculty of your intellect. I am the soul, the active principle of each. You are in me. You are a cell in my body. You are an attribute of my mind. You are a faculty of my intellect. You are a part of me. Yet you are I, myself. We are one and always have been. Another thing I heard this week, I hope some of you saw it in person. Oprah was on Good Morning America one day this week, and there was a young girl in the audience, and she was allowed to ask a question. And she said, "What advice do you offer to young women who want to make a difference in the world?" And Oprah said, I have the same advice, whether it's young women or young men. She said, part of her answer, the highest honor you will ever have in this lifetime is the honor of being yourself. The wisdom of knowing your inner divinity sets your course in life. So, this week's challenge is to go within and with one sentence discern, who am I? Every one of us has a unique divine spark at the center of our being, and it's meant to be the guiding point of our life and our energy. As I worked with this week, and then I saw myself getting upset because I didn't like my hair, like, is that in line with what you discern as who you are? I think you know the answer to that. So this allows us, if we move into this space and we discern, who am I? It allows us to daily redirect our energy, to keep ourselves in line with our divinity. And that's where our power is. That's where our power is in this life. So who do you think you are? Exploring that question and living from that inner truth brings you to the highest honor of living this lifetime. I see the divine in you. Namaste. Let's move into quiet center time. Perhaps begin the process of discerning that sentence. Taking a deep breath. Letting everything go with the out breath. Again, as we breathe in, we feel our energy and our focus moving down to the center of our being, to our divinity, to that pure presence within. There's an amazing beauty within us. We now release with the exhale everything contrary to that belief. As you relax and release the outer world, move into the highest divine energy of love and of peace and of wisdom. Just take a moment as at your own pace you just breathe into that quiet place. And in the quiet, I share with you this prayer. O Mother, Father, God, that through me, in me, and with me, your will is done. Upon your path guide my feet. With your love as my strength, tell me where to go, who to listen to, what to say, and with whom to speak. My eyes are open, thus I see with your holy vision. My ears are open, thus I hear your holy word. My hands are your hands, thus my actions are your actions. My mind is one with your mind, thus your thoughts are my thoughts. My heart is open so that your love radiates through me as a divine purpose. My words are your words. Thus from my mouth, radiating from my heart, I speak the words of your light, your glory, your love, and your peace to all, for all that is in all. Amen. Take another moment in that silent place of perfection. Breathe in, expanding that place. Silently say, I love you. And when you're ready, bring yourself back to this space, to this room. And know that you bring that divine perfection with you as you go forward. And so it is.